Hey guys, welcome to Power Within with me, Amy, your heart whisperer therapist. I'm a good wife.
Vicky, I'm the queen of rapid hypnosis.
Together with the Eastwoods, and we're going to be covering therapy,
Hypnotherapy,
couples relationship therapy,
hypnosis, and all the other shit in between.
If it's current, if it's relevant,
we'll be covering it. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to Power Within. Today we're going to have a little chat about gratitude and all this stuff, what we are very grateful for.
Yeah, we decided this location, we felt like we should get the mics back out and do a session on gratitude. Quite uplifting. That's the intention anyway. But firstly, grateful for Gemma from Master Travel for this great location that we've got here. She's always our first port of call for any travel that we want to do.
Yeah.
So grateful there.
Yeah, and grateful for actually being in New York, to our staff, our family and friends, what's helped out back home to help this happen.
Yeah, we've shared before when we talk about relationships and the 2-2-2 rule. We've done what we do best and we split our week away into 2 trips. So 3 days in New York, which I use the excuse that Vic needs a new bed top and it's only New York that she's allowed to get one from. But no, really, that was just an excuse for us to sort of down tools, press pause on life and reconnect. So,
and see where New York brought us. We spoke before about hypnotherapy in Times Square, which was quite nice. I'm very humbled to be able to do that in that location, but also to be able to go around and meet new people, hypnotize new people, and show people what we can do.
Yeah, Power Within is always about a voice for anyone and everyone that needs it, and I'm going to continue to say that as a message. But we're grateful that we've finally picked up the mics. I'm grateful that we can create a platform for people that will change, and it is changing. Some of the comments that you guys have give us on feedback today when we're going to upload and do gratitude, some of the quotes that you guys are enjoying, the ones today are actually from our people listening.
Yeah, people what's messaged in, which has been absolutely lovely, really. We put a thing out a couple of weeks ago saying send us in any powerful quotes that's actually meant something to you guys or even relevant in your life. We do apologise for the noise behind us. It's Paddy's Day in New York and this is what we have.
We're grateful for it nevertheless.
Absolutely.
So today, when we talked previously about our circle, and we keep saying, we'll touch back on that and we'll touch back on that, because 30 minutes is not a long time when we start rambling on.
No.
But, what's our circle? So I would describe my family circle as my mum, my sister Emma. I've got 2 brothers. I've got another sister that I don't know if we'll ever talk again. We've shared it, but for addiction, she's wherever she is.
But we've also, on the flip note of that, we also got the gratitude of having Kai, and he's now our boy, who's grown up absolutely tremendous.
And I always think, I had a conversation with Kai the other day, and it was very deep and meaningful. We come back separately in cars, and he got talking about his family dynamics and drugs. And it's a conversation nobody really wants with their 11-year-old boy. But he's so smart and switched on that I had to give him the rundown of where their life became the way it did. And yes, there's one hand I would say I would change the situation. Me and my sister were inseparable. And I've almost had to grieve that relationship because it's never going to be the same. It can't be the same. But along with that grief, along with losing my sister to an addiction, and I say losing, she's still alive, but we gained Kai. We gained Lacey, our 2.5. And yes, I guess it's hard when I have conversations with my mum about it. I know that she still sits in that dark place of it's her daughter, like hundreds and thousands of other people, to addiction. And I guess one thing that's come through is that we can only deal with what's in front of us.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where gratitude comes.
Yeah, that's the thing, and we have to be grateful for what we have and our current situation. You could think that we could be worse off. Kai could be worse off. Like, we thrive with life, enjoy every moment, go away whenever we can, spend time with friends when we can. Yes, it's a busy life, but that's the life what we love and enjoy, because life is for living. Life is to fulfill it with people around you, what you want. And that's where you have to sometimes bring things back, because sometimes people are not there for your intentions, are they? You've got a lot of, we've noticed over the years, friendship groups. Friendship should mean loyalty, should mean like gratitude between you, honesty, that communication, somebody who you can lean on the good times, the bad times. And not every friend brings that, but that's life sometimes. But you have to just sometimes take them people away and just concentrate on the good ones, as long as they're making you happy.
Yeah,
That's what you've...
Our circle's a lot smaller, and I think we shared this the other week. Our circle is a lot smaller now, maybe because of time or whatever else, or because we've just saw through.
Yeah, saw through the crap.
Yeah, and it's hard to do that, because I think we wake up with good intentions. I believe that. I think our friendships matter, and if we clash you as our friend, we would do anything and everything for you. But that isn't necessarily a given, and we've shared that before. It won't always come back the same way. And that's, you laugh, but that's okay.
It is okay, but like also the friends what we have lost along the way, we'd never wish them any harm. But that's not what we would ever do. It's nice that if as long as they're doing well, then that's nice as well. I would never wish them any bad.
Yeah, and
they might wish us bad. It's life.
Yeah. And I said it the other day to my sister. Obviously, unwind. We're actually going to a funeral of a family member. And I'm grateful. I could be the sickest person in the room, but I'm grateful that I'm not the person whose funeral it was. And my sister mentioned one of her friends. And I see it as a superficial, and I keep saying this word, superficial friendship. And my sister was really offended about the way the relationship's going. And I said to her, Emma, you have to start seeing through people's shit, really. You need 9 people in your circle of 10 that are going to pick you up. And if they're not interested about you doing well because they don't want you to overshadow them, then they're not friends. And I don't want to go on and on and on like everybody's got enemies around them, because I don't think that's the case. But you're allowed to sit back and go, is this really friendship? Would they really pick me up if I was on the floor? And if the answer is no, you're allowed to let go of that.
It's not a case of keeping them out of your life, but just keep them at bay. You know, you don't have to be mean to them and say you're not good for me, just because you never want them to. Nobody ever understands anybody else's situation. And I think how people are like sort of brought up and how people maintain that is different to how we would maintain that, and how different people are. You have actually got a quote
because
sent in,
one of these quotes said, small acts of kindness go a long way. You never know what someone is going through, so be kind whenever possible. But
again, when I was growing up, that's what my mum implemented in me all through. So I think always be kind to others. You never know what they're going through. You never know their situation.
Sometimes what she used to talk to you about, the lady in the vinegar bowl?
Oh, yeah. That was a really good day. I can't really remember the storyline to it, but there's an old lady who lives in a vinegar bottle. She used to tell me this story all the time, but I kind of forgot about it. And she starts off in a vinegar bottle, and then she makes 3 wishes, and she wishes for a little house, something bigger. So this little fairy came along, told her to make a wish, see what she'll see in the morning. She wakes up and she's got a little bit bigger house. Then after that, she does the second wish because she's complaining about that house. She keeps on going and going and going until she gets a really big mansion. And then she's still complaining about a big mansion, and then all of a sudden she's back in a vinegar bottle. And it's it's a very crazy story, but I used to actually love it. But again, the inspiration of being kind, being loving, always have gratitude, always help them people what's in need. Don't stare at the unfortunate. Always pick somebody up if they're down.
Yeah,
And I think I've brought that through even to growing up my adulthood.
yeah, I think your mum lives on in you in more ways than one.
Yeah.
And I think you then implement that with our kids. And our kids are grateful. Our kids live a blessed life. But we have to we do remind them sometimes, don't we? Because it's about being grounded. I don't want our kids to get to teenagers and think they've got the world at their feet really easy, because it would be false. You know, they'd fall on their arse quicker than they would try. So it is about being humble and for them, and I see that in them.
Yeah, I do.
You know, one of these are the quotes from Sarah was, self-care is not selfish.
I like that one.
Because you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to take care of yourself. And I shared this the other week about my priority ladder. And I've shared it, obviously my supervisor called me out and said, where is your priority ladder? I think my mum come in the club the other week, didn't she? She's like, I'm number 4. Joking. But the biggest thing was I wasn't on that ladder. And that's how I think I'd programmed myself. And that was okay. I didn't need to be on it. But when she called me out on it and said, you do, she was right. I need to be the best version of me for you to then benefit from that.
Yeah.
I can't give you if I don't have it. And that's the same with you guys. You know, you can't pour from an empty cup. So when you're on that merry-go-round trying to juggle work and family and home and kids, you have to start taking care of yourself, because no one else is gonna. And I don't say that in a bad way. You take care of me probably way more than I take care of you. I got breakfast in bed this morning. Vic knows I'm probably not going to travel the streets of New York to give you breakfast in bed.
No, because that's where I'm programmed, so I'll always do the little things. But it doesn't mean that you're selfish. It means that that's what part of a relationship. You do other stuff.
Bring you to New York for a bed top.
Bring me to New York. Slightly. Came out of my bank account.
But
It's
again, language,
account,
we are
really.
one, so that's okay.
That's I'm only kidding.
But one of the things I like, and it's about time, but time is your most valuable asset. Don't waste it on things or people that don't bring you joy.
Yeah.
And it will constantly go back to your circle and who's in your life. But it's finding your joy and making the most of the time that you've got.
Yeah, but most of the time, it's like again, back to friendship groups. You hang around with the wrong kind of people, you're going to become one of the wrong kind of people. You hang around with the good people and somebody who's going to pick you up whenever you need it, or even look after you or know your needs, then that will always stay true to you. But if people then gravitate back to the crappy people like your sister, she's always going to just suffer with what she's been suffering with. And the only person that can actually help is herself. It's not really for us to pick her up or take her away, because she doesn't really gravitate back to us. She gravitates back to the guys with 3 teeth.
I think because she falls into that cycle of fixing people. And
but it's a low self-esteem as well, isn't it?
And
so that's the thing. Her confidence is really high. She comes across really confident, but again, it's back to the self-esteem, where I think that's where she feels she belongs. When we keep saying, you know, there's guys out there what are really nice. There's guys out there what will look after you, but then they don't keep her on her toes enough. So she just it's just flawed.
I think, you know, I've even got that new client at the minute. It goes back to, yes, when you say self-worth, but this is the flaw of the human race is, if I fix this person, I will then be loved. Well, the reality is you can't fix that person. They have to fix themselves. You love yourself, and you then don't need to feel that from that relationship. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying it always works in harmony. Of course it doesn't. hence therapy exists. But she will find her self-worth.
Yeah, eventually. But she's got to stop gravitating back to them kind of people as well.
Yeah.
Which she kind of does.
One of the other things, I think this is in terms of us with work and business and so on, and you say it quite often.
What's that?
Number 5.
Go on.
Oh, failure is a part of success.
Yeah.
Every setback is a learning opportunity. And I know you say this quite a bit, and you said it a couple of weeks ago in an episode. But when you come out of the army, well, even if you describe why you went in the army.
Why? Because I didn't want to stay on the estate what I grew up on. Not that there's anything much wrong with that, but I wanted better. I just wanted better, and I think that's, even with people, you might get 10 people in the same scenario, in the same family, but there might be that one what just wants that little bit more, and I've always wanted that little bit more. So yeah, the army was like the easy route out for, I didn't want to go to university, I didn't want to study, I didn't want to go back to school, I hated school. So I joined the Royal Artillery and absolutely loved it. Well, part of me loved it, and then part of me absolutely hated it as well. So there was this time when, and again, I was grateful that I was in there. I was grateful that I was learning new techniques, learning new stuff, meeting new people. But then there was times when we was on exercise. I think we were on Northern Ireland training, and we had waterproofs in our bag, not allowed to wear waterproofs because they make too much noise. I had to dig our own trench, and that was like your bed. And it just, the gratitude when you do get back to a normal bed and have a normal pillow is unreal. Like that crappy bed in the military was pretty crap. But when you've been on exercise and you've been sleeping rough for like 2 weeks, then it's the best thing ever. To get a shower every day, to be able to, even when you went back home and you used the washing machine, they're the little things that everyone just takes for granted. But we just have to wash our own stuff and dry our own stuff.
What did you share with Emma the other day? Obviously, you was on about a duster, wasn't you?
Yeah.
And I guess probably this is your program of, if there's a job to do, you do it right.
Yeah, so I ended up, we had a quick inspection. So we've ended up whipping around with like dusters and everything, but I must have used it for my boots the night before. And as I've wiped this windowsill, it's left obviously some dust. Very, very minor, but he's come in, sergeant screaming his head off, standing to attention, and then he's wiped the windowsill, and he's had dust on his hand, and he's like, "What's this? Eastwood, what's this?" Oh. So I've just cleaned that windowsill, and he's like, "Get outside!" So we had to run off, and then we ended up getting punished by having this bin, which is a silver bin, and it was called Mr. Motivator, and we had it for a week. Me and one of my friends, Tabs, and we had to buff it every night and go on to parade with this bin. So every time we was on parade, Mr. Motivator, the bin was on parade. And then another time when we went for breakfast, so without Mr. Motivator there, we've gone out on parade, stood there, all to attention, because it was a bit of a rush one again, where screaming, so we've run out on parade, and I forgot to brush my hat. So I forgot to brush it. I stood on parade, they're like, "Head down." Put your head down. He's took my berry off, thrown it. I had to run around these 3 trees. And then that weekend, we wasn't allowed home because we had to stay in camp and paint the grass green. Paint the grass green. There was about 10 of us painting the grass green at the weekend.
Yeah,
but again, it's structure. I would never do that again. I'd made sure that windowsill was clean. I made sure I didn't have to have that bloody Mr. Motivator. And it keeps you grounded, where it makes you think of the little details, and that's probably where I come in with our relationship, because as long as like your uniform had to be immaculate. So then I always make sure I brushed my berry before I went to breakfast instead of expecting to brush it when I came back. So even the little things do make such a big difference.
Yeah, and them rules, you'll be glad to know we don't enforce that on our kids. They don't
Yet.
They don't dust or anything really, do they? But I think that structured who you was. Like your discipline, the finer details.
The gratefulness
Yeah.
for the little things, like having a room, having a bed, having a pillow, having a hoover. You had to buff the floor.
Yeah, and I guess it was a stage of your life. You come out there and you buy an ice cream van.
Yeah, that wasn't really my smartest move. But I just wanted to set a business up, and you always have to start small. So I set a business up. I thought I'd end up having a fleet of ice cream vans, and then I realised actually I don't like kids. Not that I don't like kids, but just kids are just brutal, aren't they? Doing it like school kids outside of school, and you just one of them was just trying to jump inside the ice cream van, so I just drove off. And I'm like, that's it. I've had enough of this game. I'm doing different jobs. So then obviously I'm my HGV. I got my HGV when I was 17, believe it or not. And yeah, so I ended up driving class ones and delivering beer for 9 years, but set another business up in between. But again, even though the fails of everything what I've done have made me stronger to succeed, but even if I don't succeed, what's the worst what happens? Just get another job. And that's my motto is never worry about failing, because it's just a learning curve in life. Look back and go, yeah, that's great. But I did, there was once when I was in them fields on Northern Ireland training, and I was wet through, I was cold, tired, hungry, and I seen planes going over us, and I said to my sergeant, I went, see that plane? I'm really angry. See that plane? One day I'm going to be on that plane, and you lot are going to all be all in these fields here down below. And he just laughed. He's like, all right then, Eastwood, carry on.
Did it make you feel better?
Well, I couldn't wait to fast forward a little bit of my time just until I went on the plane. So now when I'm on a plane, I'm grateful for being on the plane, because there's people down below what are maybe in the field, or maybe struggling with life, or maybe feeling exactly how I was that time. So yeah, the gratitude, the gratefulness all leads in.
Yeah, and life evolves, doesn't it? Like you can be having a bad day today, and that's all it is, a bad day. It's not a bad life. It doesn't have to be a bad week either.
Well, there was somebody who I spoke to the other week, and they said something, and I said, well, what's the worst could happen? What's the worst could happen? And they were like, I can't remember what it was all about, but they were like, well, this, and I said, well, there's nothing really wrong with that. Like, if that's all the worst what could happen,
Roll with it.
Roll with it. Enjoy. Embrace it.
Embrace, because it's experience. And at the flip side, it could be the opposite scale and take off and you be successful. I think fear holds us back. Fear will hold most of you in a 9 to 5 that you hate. Fear of probably not paying your mortgage at the end of the month, which I get I get that it's a big fear. We would bloody every month rely on some little hustle to come through, or an extra day job on the lorries or something. So we've been there. I'm not saying that it's minor if you can't pay your mortgage. I'm saying the leap of faith could be incredible. And do you want to read one more of these?
Well, was that? This one's from Brian from Essex. Yeah, read that one. What's that one say?
You can't control everything, and that's okay. And this goes to what we were just saying. Letting go is the best thing you can do.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Sometimes always turn the negative to a positive. So even if something's going wrong, you have to go, well, just change that mindset. And it's really hard in that time, but you have to just let it go, because otherwise it's going to consume today. It already consumed yesterday, and then it's going to consume tomorrow. And then before you know it, it's going to consume your week, and then your month. And then before you know it, you've overthought it all. And then when you do actually either speak to that person or like, sort of what the problem was out, it might not even be as bad as what you think it is.
So let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go. I said that to Kai in the car the other day. Just let it go, darling. And then obviously I clearly started singing. He's like, Mum, you're so cringe.
Oh.
If ever you get the privilege to hear me sing, not X Factor material. But yeah, he called me cringe.
That's enough from me.
Yeah, it was a no from him too.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I said to him the other day, and I says, I thought I wrote a great one-liner what I did. And I said, darling, one day you're going to realise that your mum's funny. And he went, well, that day's not today.
Yeah.
That's just...
We're getting our ass kicked by 11-year-olds.
Yeah, cheers, kid. Okay.
But listen, I'm grateful for their wit. I'm grateful that they're at school at the minute and they're looked after whilst we're here.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the cycle that we have and the circle of people. I'm grateful for you.
Grateful for the breakfast in bed.
Thank you very much.
There you go. Trips in the streets of New York. But yeah, I had fun. Met a few people. So we're going to end on a positive. So thank you for everyone for listening. But this we've seen, and I think is really lovely. It says, life is so ironic. It says sadness to know what happiness is, noise to appreciate silence, and absence to value presence, which I think is really relevant and true to what we actually all experience. So thanks for listening.
Be safe.
Goodbye from New York.